Welcome back, Trailblazers. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to take a moment to talk about a tool that has completely transformed the way I plan and navigate my hikes, AllTrails Plus. As a Trailheads Ambassador and the organizer of the Yakima Valley Trekkers, I'm out on the trails a lot. One of my favorite features of AllTrails Plus is the ability to edit and create my own maps. Conditions change, fallen trees, washed out sections, or even a last-minute reroute. And with AllTrails Plus, I can adjust my route on the fly and share it with others so everyone stays informed and safe. AllTrails Plus also gives you offline maps, wrong turn alerts, and 3D trail previews to help you stay on track and make the most of your adventure. And the best part, you can get 30% off an AllTrails Plus membership with my exclusive link in the episode show notes. So whether you're planning your next big trek or just looking for a new trail to explore, AllTrails Plus has you covered. Check it out and let's hit the trail. Welcome everyone to the Hikes and Mikes podcast. I'm your host, Ivan, and together we'll embark on a weekly journey, connecting with extraordinary hikers from all corners of the United States and beyond. Throughout these spring months, we've had the privilege of conversing with remarkable individuals. Their experiences and adventures will leave you yearning to hit the trails. In this episode of Hikes and Mikes, we sit down with Ralston Garrett, adventurer, storyteller, and the creative force behind Ralston Garrett Photography. From recovering after a serious injury to scaling Utah's iconic peaks, Ralston shares how hiking and photography became two twin passions that now guide his life. We journey through his favorite wild places, from petroglyphs at Delicate Arch to the quiet beauty of Capitol Reef's backcountry, and hear how he captures fleeting moments for future generations. Ralston opens up about the challenges of outdoor photography, from harsh winter storms to the mental stillness found at high altitudes. Without further ado, let's jump into this episode with our guest, Ralston. Welcome, everyone, to the latest episode of the Hikes and Mikes podcast. I'm really excited to have this guest with us today. He's going to be sharing about some of his hikes and the amazing photography that he's been able to share with us on Instagram. Ralston, thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening to speak with us. We always like to start off by having our guests share a little bit about themselves and how they got started hiking.
I just wanted to say thank you for having me on. I'm excited to be here. It's my first podcast ever. I'm Ralston Garrett from Ralston Garrett Photography, LLC. I'm a father of 3, married to a beautiful wife. Her name's Nicole. I love eating breakfast burritos and hiking very steep climbs and also going crazy on long hikes. I just like pushing myself to the limits. I'm from Eagle Mountain, Utah, so I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about your journey on how you were able to incorporate your love for hiking as well as photography?
It's kind of funny. Honestly, when I was younger, I hiked a lot with my grandpa. After I got a little bit older and life just kind of happened where I was going to school, getting a job, all this stuff, it kind of just disappeared. But I guess the turning point was when I injured myself. I tore my meniscus. I sat down in my bed for a good 6 months figuring out what I was trying to do with my life because I couldn't do anything physically active. I was just kind of bedridden for a time and slowly moving. It was kind of funny. I started to read a book about Mount Everest, and I told myself, I really want to climb mountains. I don't want this injury to stop me from really achieving the ultimate goal, which is, I thought at the time, climbing Mount Everest. I'm still debating on doing that nowadays. And so I started to push myself to get out of bed, start to do my PT a bit more, and start to climb and do different hikes. And now I'm just actively hiking mountains, actively hiking anywhere I possibly can hike to take pictures. And the photography aspect of it, it kind of was funny. I was a hobbyist photographer. My wife used to call me before I started taking professional shots, just the family photographer, taking pictures of my kids. And as I would start to hike and climb these mountains, I started taking pictures with my phone, and my family started to really recognize how high quality the photos I was taking. And they said, you should really dive deeper into it. And so because of my injury, it kind of just all segued me back to going back to what I used to do when I was a kid, something that I really enjoyed and loved.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned your grandfather because a lot of the hiking that you were doing was in the deserts of Arizona. And I feel like those moments definitely helped shape your connection with nature. For you, looking back at it, are there any meaningful experiences or hikes that still stick out from hiking with your grandfather?
It's kind of funny. I don't really remember a lot of the hikes we went on with my grandpa. I was so young. I was probably like 6 or 7 or 8. I can't remember exactly the time, but I think we remember more of the feeling than we remember the memory, I guess you can say. And I just remember a lot of the time I'd be picking up rocks, and I love to inspect rocks and inspect leaves and trees and different things. I was very detail oriented as a kid, which now I recognize, hey, that because of me being a child, being more detail oriented, it kind of segued into photography. With hiking with my grandpa, now that I'm hitting the trails a lot more and I've kind of pushed myself to propel onto hikes and to hit mountains, I definitely feel his spirit with me a bit more. It brings me back to that memory of him hiking with him. And it's just something more unique and more special, I guess you could say.
And Ralston, you mentioned that after the injury, you really kind of dived into hiking and not just like, easy trails. You were tackling some huge elevation gain trails. One of them that kind of stands out is Big Baldy Trail. What makes the trail so special, and what do you love most about hiking in that area?
Well, I was actually thinking about that one recently. I have a picture, I think, on my Instagram with it. When I was hiking that specific trail, the Mount Baldy Trail, I was taking pictures here and there, but as I was hiking up to this mountain, I got to this point on the trail where the sun started to rise and the clouds and the mountains just combined to make this beautiful picture. One of my favorite photographers and my inspiration for a lot of my work is Ansel Adams, and he talks about how you visualize the picture that you're taking. I sat at this moment when the sun rose and the clouds started to appear out in this different direction, that I could see the picture that I wanted to take. And that was the moment I realized, I'm like, I think I could do this professionally. I snapped the shot that I saw, and I was just truly impressed and awe-inspired by the visuals, the mountain escape and all that stuff. And I think the reason why I like hiking those areas is because it's relatively convenient to where I live. Where I'm living in Eagle Mountain, within like an hour or two, even 5 minutes from my house, I have so many trails. And so I have the opportunity to really just dive into the trail systems we have around Utah County and Salt Lake County, because this whole place is just full of trails.
Yeah, like I think I've said it every single season of the podcast, but Utah's known for the Big Five, but I honestly believe like Utah could be its own national park because your state park,
Oh yeah.
yeah, your state parks rival national parks. You've hiked all over the state, and you've checked off the national parks like Bryce and Arches and Canyonlands. What are some of your favorite Utah landscapes that you kind of keep going back to?
I think, like I said, it boils back down to the convenience of the trails. Normally, it's like the mountainscapes. That's what I really go back to. But with the national parks, the Mighty Five here in Utah, they're almost like a Disneyland for me, where I make it a special experience because they're just so unique and interesting and just so picture worthy for any photographer, for anyone who likes to take pictures. It's just so beautiful. I would say if I could drive 4 to 5 hours every day to go to, let's say, Arches or Capitol Reef or Canyonlands or even Zines, I would do it in a heartbeat. But I mean, just the natural, the landscape over here is just, it's so awe-inspiring and so unique to just Utah.
I mean, every single time I've gone, especially like the Capitol Reef area and just its surrounding state parks and trails, it honestly leaves me speechless, the things that I'm seeing. It's absolutely stunning. Now, Ralston, like we mentioned with Mount Baldy, that had a huge elevation gain, and I know you've tackled others in order to get some amazing shots. Is there one trail in particular in recent memory that really pushed you both physically and mentally?
Oh, yeah. It was actually, this trail was before I started to really dive deeper into photography and start doing it more professionally. It was the Mount Olympus Trail in, I think it's Cottonwood Heights, or it's around the area in Salt Lake County. So I was in doing still PT and I was slowly in recovery, but I told myself that, you know what, I'm going to try to push myself. And so I climbed Mount Olympus. It was a 6-hour round trip hike. And there was moments on that hike where, if you've ever been to Mount Olympus, I didn't recognize truly what a level 3 scramble was until I actually got to Mount Olympus's peak. And I think one of the more difficult parts was I took my dog with me up this 6-hour hike. I got to this scramble. I'm like, I got to climb up all these rocks to get here, and I'm going to do it because I'm motivated and I'm already up here. And so just imagine trying to hoist a dog up and you have a semi bad knee still, but you're going to do it because you're motivated to. When we finally got up there, it was freezing cold. It was like 20 degrees and just wind chills left and right. I'm like, okay, we're done up here. My legs hurting. My dog's whining. I need to get down this mountain. And so I started climbing down, and I almost fell off the mountain a couple of times, but thankfully my dog, she's a rescue dog from a shelter. And I'm like, she must have been some sort of search and rescue dog because she kept me on that mountain when I almost fell off a couple of times. So I think the moral of that story was to know your limits and to have a good companion on your side, no matter what, if it's a dog or a human being, because sometimes it gets difficult.
Oh, for sure. And Ralston, one place that really caught my attention in your feed was some of the hidden gems that you were able to find in Capitol Reef. I think a lot of us, we want to see the popular destinations and popular hikes at national parks, but I think a lot of us also crave to find some hidden gems. How do you go about finding hidden gems on your hikes? And do you think the more remote locations offer a unique challenging for capturing the essence of the land?
It's kind of fun with Capitol Reef. When I started saying I was going to go to Capitol Reef, a lot of people here in Utah don't even know that's a national park. They don't even know what that is. They actually think it's part of the aquarium out here. It's kind of funny, but with Capitol Reef, I think by far out of all the national parks I've been to, Capitol Reef was one of my favorite ones because of exactly that, how remote it was and what it felt like untouched from other hikers and other scenes you really haven't seen from a national park. I'm going to put a plug in for AllTrails. I know a lot of hikers use AllTrails. That they help me find, and this is not a paid promotion, I don't get paid by AllTrails, but they help me find these hidden trails through Capitol Reef. It's been a good way for me to kind of at least get there and go, okay, I want to hit these trails. And then if I find something along the way that a ranger would tell me, like, hey, you should check out this place, I would say, oh, might as well just go try it out. And so it's a mixture of using AllTrails app and then also just talking and connecting with people around me to kind of find these more unique spots. And I think the challenge is, getting to the more remote spots, you're going to be doing a bit of bushwhacking or a lot more navigating a missing trail or trying to find where your path is. But in reality, they say like it's about the journey and it's also about the end goal is the big prize. And I think that for me as a photographer, because like, for example, Capitol Reef, taking these pictures at that location, and when I'm thinking, I'm not just taking it for myself, but I'm taking it for my kids. I'm taking it for people who don't have the opportunity to go to these locations, or people who don't really they just go to the normal easy trails that are very tourist based. So trying to capture for those people and also trying to capture for the previous generation who don't have the opportunity and who aren't physically capable of trying to find these remote hidden destinations. And so it becomes kind of a motivation to push me through the more difficult times, the more challenging times to get to those more unique spots for all generations to enjoy the beauty of trails that aren't treaded very often.
Such a good point. You have showcased Utah because that's your home state, but you've also done some other desert hikes, both in Death Valley and Joshua Tree, which, are stunning national parks in their own right. How did the environments of Death Valley and Joshua Tree challenge you both as a hiker and as a photographer?
That's a good question. And it's kind of funny to think about that because when I went to those two national parks, I left Utah and it was like 20 degrees and snowing. And so going from the snow and the elevation, then going to a desert location, I'd been through the national parks down south when it has been hot, but experiencing Death Valley, for example, it is the hottest place in North America and with the lowest elevation compared to Utah. It's below sea level at times. So I think just the heat and the elevation difference is quite a big thing for me as a challenge because going from super cold to super hot, it's a difference. But like for my wife and my kids, for example, when we were going through Joshua Tree and Death Valley, it was kind of funny. Like there's nothing here. It's just a bunch of desert. And I said, well, you got to look for the beauty. You got to really find it. If you're not looking for it and you just take it as a desert, then it's just going to be a desert. But so I've taken a couple of photos of Joshua Tree and Death Valley, and I haven't posted them all up yet, but I mean, I've seen a lot of very beautiful plants, a lot of very beautiful hills. I loved Death Valley because I was reading something on Instagram. It's like the land of landscapes, as someone said, and I loved that because I'm like, yeah, it really is. I know Ansel Adams talked about it. He's like, you might look at Death Valley and think, oh, it's not really, I'm paraphrasing it, but it's not really that great. But he's like, it is something well beyond beautiful. You have to go experience it yourself because you just can't. A picture cannot really encapsulate how beautiful Death Valley is. And Joshua Tree, too. I mean, the trees there are just beautiful. I never realized that you can look at a picture and go, that's just a cactus. But being there and experiencing those beautiful formation of trees and the rocks they have that peer out of the ground, it's just so unique and interesting compared to anything else that I've ever seen. But the heat and the elevation gain would, I would say, be the most challenging part of those hikes.
For sure. When you do have to deal with heat, I know a lot of us that use our phones primarily for photography, sometimes we get the overheating message. With a DSLR or a professional camera, do you have to take into account the temperature, and does it impact the camera itself?
This camera system itself it's a computer. I mean, just like our phones and stuff, they are computers. And so, yeah, you want to take into account how hot your camera can get. Because, I mean, it is a big, most of the time, all cameras are black. And the one I'm running is relatively big. So, yeah, it could get pretty hot pretty fast. And I don't want anything to fry on that thing, especially, let's say, Death Valley heats,
You know, Ralston, this is going to be a difficult question because it's like asking what your favorite hike is, what your favorite photo is. Are there moments or photos that still stand out as some of the more memorable or meaningful ones?
I have a lot of my pictures posted around my house because I enjoy looking at them and it gives me inspiration. I think two things that inspire me the most. One experience, if it's okay if I share both of them, but one photo I took, it's on my Instagram feed. It's called Timpanogos, and it's just just the full mountain itself. And getting to it was treading through a lot of snow. I was hiking up to Little Baldy. So I was trying to get the both Baldies. I just did Big Baldy, and I'm like, I'm going to try to do Little Baldy. It should be easier. It's little. So I started to hike it, and I got to the point where I was getting to waist high snow, and I'm like, I just don't think I can do this. I mean, my dog, she looks like she's swimming. I'm slowly trying to get up here, trying to get a picture. And it got to the point where I was miserable. She was miserable. Well, we lost the trail, and it wasn't easy to get to. So I just decided to turn around and I started walking back. I think one thing that I've learned with my photography is I always need to look back, just turn around and see what's behind me. And some of my photos, actually, most of my photos have been that aspect where I just turn around and I'm like, wow, that's a really good picture. Why didn't I see that before? And I needed to see it in a different light. And so the Timpanogos one was kind of fun with that was what happened. It was one of my best photos I've taken. The one I love the most is I was able to turn around after treading through snow. My socks were soaked. My pants were soaked. I was soaked and cold. It was like 19 degrees. I turned around and there it is. And I'm like, that is the most beautiful thing I think I've ever seen in my whole life. And I'm glad I had a professional camera to take it. And that photo has the most memorable experience because I was able to just, through all the pain and the cold, I was able to find something that really stuck out. And I'm like, it was well worth it, even though I felt like I might have frostbite. I guess my other experiences, if you don't mind me sharing, it was something that helped me realize how important it is to be safe. I guess for other fellow hikers, we all should be safe right on the trails, and any photographer going out and about should be safe on the trails. I planned on going up actually Timpanogos. This was before I took that Timpanogos photo. I was planning on climbing Timpanogos and they had pretty heavy snowfall, but I was like, I'm going to tread through this. I'm going to do it because I'm a strong photographer. I'm a strong hiker. I can do this, And I started getting up to Timpanogos and it was like 2 degrees outside. And I started climbing it. I only got about 4 miles up to Timpanogos. And I was falling in snow traps. It was up to my rib cage. That's how high the snow was up there. And I kept on just trudging through the snow, and I had this strong feeling, hey, you need to turn around. And so I was like, why? I'm getting there. I'm just going to push through. And I just had this feeling you need to turn around. And they say that you always need to listen to your gut when you hike. Previous to that week, there was a hiker who had a dog, and he was with his dog, and he got stuck in an avalanche and passed away. And so that was running through my brain. I'm like, I have 3 kids at home. I probably should turn around. I would love to take these pictures, but no amount of unsafe conditions will be worth it to me because I have a generation that's important to me, that my kids are more important than a picture. And so I think that's one thing that we should always recognize as hikers and as photographers of landscapes or just anything, is to recognize that safety is always, it's better to be safe than sorry, is what I'm trying to say. And that was a memorable moment to realize, sometimes I just need to turn around and something else would be good that comes from it. But I just need to be safe because there's other things at stake.
Very, very true, Ralston. I think a lot of us that have hiked for a while will experience that moment where your gut's telling you to either turn around or to call it. And I would say 99% of the time, your gut is telling the truth to keep you out of dangerous situations. But, interesting that you, both memories and the picture were Mount Timpanogos, because I just found out about that mountain last year from one of our guests. And that mountain does not have a bad season, whether it's spring, summer, fall, winter. It's gorgeous, year round. Hopefully, next time I fly into Salt Lake, I'll be able to hit some of the trails because, it just looks incredible and stunning.
It's a beast for sure. It takes about 9 hours to climb. That's what they say, but it's well worth it. They actually have a national monument of caves up there, which is really cool to go check out.
Now, one segment that we like to do on the podcast is we like to do a deep dive into our guest's Instagram and ask them about a particular post or a reel. Your post was featuring delicate arch, and not just delicate arch itself, but the petroglyphs. Because, I think a lot of people will take that Instagrammable delicate arch picture. If you explore more around the area, you'll be able to find these petroglyphs. How did you kind of come across them?
Oh, yeah. If you've ever hiked to Delicate Arch, you kind of go in there and it says there's petroglyphs on this side and then there's Delicate Arch this way. I've noticed a lot of people just completely plow through that section of Delicate Arch. When I went over there to take it, I've seen them before. I've been to arches a couple of times. And this time I started to really want to take these pictures and take more professional photos of these locations in a different light. That's why it's in black and white or monochrome. I'm trying to take these locations that people see in color and maybe turn it on its side more artistically and saying, hey, we need to look at these more of how they probably were originally looked at before people started to come and bring colored cameras where they were in black and white. And so with the Delicate Arch, when I went to go look at it, I'm like, I'm going to take this in monochrome or black and white and really show the stark difference of black to white ratio and the grays and how unique they are. I think with the Delicate Arch, I have a sweet spot for petroglyphs. In Eagle Mountain, there actually is a couple of petroglyphs out here, and I love to go look at them because when I started to really dive deeper into the hiking, the culture of outdoorsmanship and all that type of stuff, the petroglyphs really always kind of stuck to me. I always loved Native American lore, even though I'm not very educated in it, but I always loved the aspect of it. It helps me think to myself, and a lot of my mission as a photographer, especially with my photography, is that I want to help people recognize that the world around us is ever fading and fleeting, that the things that we do to the world itself constantly alter and change the beauty that's around us. And with these, they help me realize a bit more of like, what do I really want to leave for my kids and for all generations? What type of photography do I want to take that's going to help document and help people recognize how beautiful the world that we live? I have, like I said, 3 kids. And my son, I want him to look up to me and to see that there's something unique and different in the world and that we can leave something behind that might mean something. And so I believe the petroglyphs are a good example of that. Is what truly are we going to leave behind? What impact are we going to truly make? I hope that made sense.
If people get a chance, definitely check out the Delicate Arch petroglyphs post that Ralston has on his Instagram feed. Truly stunning captures, Ralston. Really appreciate you sharing that with the community. Before we dive into the last few questions, being a native and local of Utah, I got to ask, if folks are visiting Utah and they want to do the Big Five, which season and which park should they visit there in Utah?
Oh man, that's a good question. I believe that the best time to visit the parks themselves, I've had good success in more of the winter times, before spring hits, before spring break, and before summer. And so if you did like around February, March, and maybe January, February, March, those are probably some of the best times to go because it might be cold down there. And since I think I might be wrong, but it's in a high desert. So I've seen some photos of, like, for example, people taking Bryce when it has snowfall. And it's some of the most beautiful things you'll ever see. The starkness of the orange rock to the white is gorgeous. So I'd say if you want less crowds, go more towards the winter time when it's like January, February, and March. That's when you have less people and before all the big crowds come during the summer seasons.
Now, Ralston, these last couple questions we like to ask all our guests. The first one is, when it comes to hikes, a lot of hikers and backpackers sometimes have a end of the hike routine or a summit routine. For a lot of us, it's packing the favorite snack or drink. For others, it's a moment of zen. And then, a lot of us look forward to that meal afterward. Is there a regular custom or routine that you like to do when you reach your destination or maybe when you make it back out?
Yeah, actually, it's kind of funny. I have 2 routines I normally do. Whenever I get to like a summit or the end of a hike and I'm done taking my pictures, I kind of stop to take pictures. I guess there's that quote from The Secret Life of Walter Mitty and the photography community. I can't really quote the quote, but he talks about how sometimes if you're in a moment, you just want to be in the moment. And I think it's kind of funny that I really feel that way. Move the camera away from what I'm seeing and I just sit down and I go, wow, this is amazing. I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad I'm doing this for a job. This is awesome. And then I think another routine I do is here in Utah, and I know they have a couple of other these locations, but I go to the Maverick gas station. I pick myself up a Monster Energy drink, and then I go and get myself a Maverick breakfast burrito. It's like my go-to routine every time after a hike or a photo shoot is I end up doing that.
I love that. So we just got our first Maverick gas station where I live last year, and I have been introduced to the Maverick breakfast. And, if you're going to be going on a road trip or traveling for a hike, there's nothing quite like gas station coffee. It's one of the few times I'll get it is before a hike, and then a Maverick breakfast burrito.
Oh, yeah. You can't go wrong with those.
Yeah. Now, this next one is when it comes to your pack list, is there a luxury item that tends to fall outside of the essentials?
Well, for me, I try to run bare essentials all the time. I'm already carrying a ton of equipment as a photographer with my tripod or with all the camera equipment that I have, batteries, extra this or that. And so I try to be as essential as possible when it comes to my day pack or my long hike pack. But I think one thing that I constantly take with me, just out of habit, is my AirPods. I don't end up using them a lot of the time on the trail, but when I'm trying to set a mood for what I want to take a picture for, I play some really calming piano music. And I go, okay, this is going to be in a gallery one of these days. And so I want to frame my mindset as saying, okay, what would this look like with piano music in the background? I know it's kind of silly, but it's just me being weird. But I normally have my AirPods thrown inside my bag.
I like that. I don't carry headphones, but I do have playlists that I'll specifically play when I'm going to the trailhead to kind of set the tone and
pump you up or get you going.
Exactly. Now, we're recording this in March, and there's still plenty of time left in 2025 to get out there and explore. Is there any travel goals that you have, or even hiking goals for 2025?
Oh, yeah. Since I started doing my photography full time, I'm really trying to hit the Mighty Five again, along with Utah's national monuments and also their historical trails and hikes. My plan for 2025 is to complete a coffee table monochromatic or black and white book of Utah's national parks, monuments, and historical trails. I'm working on doing the Pony Express, along with Cedar Breaks, along with Timpanogos Caves, along with doing the Mighty Five again. I plan on working on climbing almost all the mountains in Utah, at least a lot of the mountains and peaks of Utah that make Utah distinctive. So it's kind of a long year, a lot of pictures, a lot of work ahead of me, but it's well worth it to feel like I can achieve something that's almost feels unachievable. But since I'm now a full-time photographer and hiker, I'm really actively going out there to get these pictures and shots for people who might not have the opportunity to go out all the time or might not have the opportunity at all to look at the beautiful landscape of Utah.
Oh man, I'm looking forward to that. Well, that was it, Ralston, for the regular questions. We always like to finish off the podcast with our this and that questions. I'm going to give you 10 hiking related topics, and you just choose which one you prefer out of the two. So the first one is, do you pack a trail lunch or do you prefer trail snacks?
Oh, straight up trail snacks. And it always ends up being like a candy bar. Because, if you track your calories, you end up burning thousands of calories. And I'm like, well, I can eat a Snickers. I won't die. And it normally motivates me. So I'd say my trail snack ends up being like 5 Snickers and 4 Reese's.
And then Utah is known for having both of these. But if you had to choose, waterfalls or summits?
Oh, all the way summits. I love waterfalls, don't get me wrong. But I feel like getting to a summit, it's just like climbing a mini Mount Everest. It just takes a lot more effort. You have to be crazy to climb summits sometimes, or peaks.
This next one kind of flows right into what you were describing, but if you had to choose, would you rather go switchbacks or straight up?
Oh, they both have their challenges. I'd say straight up. Just keep the job done. Just go for it. No pain, no gain, I guess you could say.
And then our most controversial one is, do you prefer trek poles or freehand?
Oh, so when I first injured myself, I was all about the trek poles. But as I started to increase in equipment, I started going, I don't know what I'm going to use these trek poles for, and they're just in the way of what I'm trying to do, so I just stick with freehand.
And this next one, Ralston, is about your footwear. Do you wear traditional hiking boots or trail runners?
I go hiking boots.
And then this is a trail system question. Do you prefer loop trails or out and back trails?
I think I like the out and back mostly, because going back to that same thing I talked about where I can always end up looking backwards. If I do a loop, I feel like I'm going to miss something. But with out and back, I can always, if I find a place that I really like and I'm like, the lighting's just not right, I can always say, I'll come back to it. And so that's normally what I like, is the out and back stuff.
And then this next one is, do you prefer group hikes or solo adventures?
Well, it's kind of funny. I don't really have a lot of people who like the group hike with me, so I would say solo adventures.
And then this one's a tough one, but sunset hikes or sunrise hikes?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think I'd like sunrise hikes. I'm kind of superstitious. Every time I feel like I'm kind of a clumsy guy. And so I feel like if I would do a sunset hike, I would like butter and fall down the mountain trying to get down off of it in the dark. I think I prefer doing sunrise because I can get up to where I'm going, the sun rises, and then I have sun coming back down. And I feel like that's kind of the safer option for me.
And then Utah is known for having both of these in stunning fashion as well. But if you had to choose, spring wildflowers or fall colors?
Ooh, that's a good question. I honestly think the fall colors. I have a sweet spot for the chilly days and then seeing the flowers and the leaves change. It's just so interesting with those colors. Especially here in Utah, we have the aspens when they change with the white in the contrast of the oranges. It's just breathtaking.
And then the last one, Ralston, is new for season 10. Do you prefer slow and scenic hikes or fast and challenging hikes?
I'd say slow and scenic. I guess what I'm trying to do as a photographer is I'm trying to capture moments. I mean, slow and scenic's fun, but I guess I do like the fast and steep ones, right? Or I like them both. It just depends on the day.
Okay, I like that answer. Well, that was it, Ralston, for the this or that question. If folks are interested in checking out some of the photography that we discussed today, as well as follow along in your future adventures, where are some of the places they can follow you both online and on social media?
I'm on mostly the major social media sites. I'm Ralston_Garrett_photography on Instagram. And then on YouTube, I'm the Trailhead with Ralston Garrett Photography. And then I have a Facebook, which is just Ralston Garrett Photography. And then my website is ralstongarrettphotography.com. You could probably just type in Ralston Garrett Photography and find me on everything. So I'm on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and then I have my portfolio online.
We'll be sure to link all those in the episode show notes so people can check it out. Ralston, it has been a blast talking to you, and I'm looking forward to what the rest of the year has to offer for you, and I can't wait for that book to come out. Really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to speak with us, and thank you so much.
Oh, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And that brings us to the end of this episode alongside Ralston. We extend our heartfelt thanks to him for coming on the podcast. Be sure to follow him on Instagram at Ralston_Garrett_photography and check out the episode show notes to learn more. New episodes will be dropping every Monday this spring, with occasional bonus episodes on Fridays. To ensure you never miss out on these thrilling tales, remember to hit the like and subscribe button. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to check out our vibrant community on Instagram at Hikes and Mics. We'll be sharing episode visuals, my own personal hiking content, and so much more. Let's stay connected and continue to inspire each other on this remarkable journey. As we bid farewell, remember to tread those happy trails, embrace the great outdoors, and keep the spirit of adventure alive. Until next time, my fellow explorers, happy hiking. This episode's music was created by Ketsa. Follow him on Instagram at Ketsa Music. This episode is brought to you by Ursa Minor Outfitters. Folks, I'm absolutely in love with my loon mug. It's handmade, it's an absolute piece of art. Whether it's at the office or at the house, people keep asking to check it out. If you're not a loon fan, they also have other beautiful mugs for wildlife fans of moose, bears, and eagles. They specialize in products highlighting the outdoors and local pride through quality design by local artists. They've even started expanding into items beyond mugs, like apparel, dog accessories, and soon candles and more. They also try to partner and highlight other small businesses, and in some cases, forego profits in lieu of charitable giving to help their community, such as the dog rescue. So check them out, ursaminooroutfitters.com, and enter promo code HikesMikes10 at checkout to receive 10% off your order. And for our four-legged hiking partners, they also have a portable silicone dog bowl and also a sweet over-the-collar dog bandana. Go check them out, ursaminooroutfitters.com, and don't forget to enter promo code HikesMikes10 at checkout to receive 10% off your order.